is gonna take um yeah, it's gonna take several refreshes, I just noticed. It's always like this, so I've gotten used to it at this point. Okay, looks like we are live. Okay, let me just wait for the transition. All right, we are good. All right. Welcome everyone to day 6 of Serenity Spring Festival. Of course, I'm your host, Leah. And of course, we are today's live stream is the Sonic Lore with Radar episode 8. And we will be tackling the Archie Sonic Lore featuring Ava Arctic and Sonic Boon helping Radar out this time. So this is a new this is a new one for this episode.
Hi, so happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to let my cohorts introduce themselves before I do, because everyone should know me by now. My name's in the title for some reason.
Hi, here are you.
Drum roll.
All right, Ava, why don't you give us a little background about what you do in the song community, in case for those who
Uh,
don't know.
yes, so I'm Ava. I've kind of ended up picking up a lot of things over the years. So I am a big comic book collector. I currently have every Sonic IDW comic released so far. One of my big little things. But also I work on my own little comic book, Tangle and Whispered New Roads. We are currently on our third issue, which is still in development. I am also the lead editor for the IDW Fan Annual, which is not affiliated with IDW, but it's just a sort of fan creation version of the Sonic Comic Annual that IDW does. And I am also the editor for Archie Sonic Restoration, or Archie Sonic Restored, which is a off branch of Archie Sonic Online, the group that is trying to continue the Archie continuity. Our group is currently in charge of restoring the post reboot, which we might talk a little bit later today.
Awesome.
A little
All right.
fun fact I will quickly throw in. Ava is also my boss, for I am social media coordinator for the IDW Sonic Fan Annual.
Yes, yes,
I report to them, and they are very cool boss.
I am.
Well, I mean, the person you hired says you're cool, then you're cool.
Yay!
All right, Boone. Why don't you introduce the yourself to the audience about what you do?
Ooh, okay. I am a voice actress for numerous Sonic related projects, and I'm also an artist in the community. And recently I was brought on as a colorist for Archie Sonic Online and Archie Sonic Restoration. So yeah, I guess that's about it.
Awesome.
I
All
know you're
right.
working on Restart as well.
All,
Ava,
all
you might have to pick me up on some stuff.
Yeah, Boone's been doing some really good work for us. Hopefully, we'll be able to see some of it very soon.
Thank you so much.
all right. If you, the audience, have any questions about the Archie Sonic comic lore, you're more than welcome to put your questions in the chat here. Um,
No, we're uh my friends here are gonna be taking in a bunch of the heavy lifting for me out of this. For they are well more experienced in the vast multiverse of Archie Sonic than I am.
A bit more acquainted.
Mm.
I need to get you to read Archie one day.
Yes.
It's an
Well, hang
experience.
on, hang on. I'm catching myself up on Reboot on my own time. I think I'm pretty sure I stopped halfway, but I'm getting there. As for pre-reboot,
That pause.
Where do you even begin?
Anyway,
Oh, all right, Radar. Do you have any questions for Ava and Boone? If you're, because I know you're not, I know you aren't as versatile in this like iteration of the Sonic lore. So I'm you're more than welcome to ask some questions.
I'm the one asking the questions now. Oh, so the power has been bestowed to me. um,
Oh no.
I guess I can start off with like just the simple, the easy question. Um, how'd you guys cope with the Super Genesis wave?
Oh,
Oh.
gee.
Mm,
I'm so funny.
mm.
But seriously, yeah, so as a lot this is something I know, obviously. Most people would know when it comes to Archie Sonic. It's like one of its defining aspects of its run where Eggman wanted to reshape the whole universe to his vision, and that resulted in the activation of the Genesis waves. And one in particular, the Super Genesis wave, um, resulted in some robots from another universe, and then uh, kind of a small collapse in reality, and then a completely new universe was spawned.
So 2025. Okay, sorry, never mind.
That's very funny considering some recent events. If you know. But yeah, so the Super Genesis wave essentially rebooted Archie Sonic from its original run into a new take that still built off of what was before, but in something that was more akin to Sega Sonic and how um things are mostly tied into the video games rather than being mostly inspired of the older cartoons and such. Again, aspects are still there, but loosely based. So for the people that I know are very much well versed into this comic series, like how like I can word how was that first experience with the Super Genesis wave, and then having Sonic be blown from being supersonic into fighting a mutant Tails doll?
Mm.
I did not mean to make that as convoluted as I did.
Oh, you're fine. Let's see. For me, how do I start? I sort of liked how things were changed up. Um, like I sort of grew up with the old Archie, so it will still kind of like seeing part of your if something that you grew up with change. However, I think where we were at with Archie IDW, there was just so many pieces to it, so many like old lore sections to keep up with that really sort of needed that big cleanup. I'm not trying to discredit the old stuff. I still really liked it, having to hunt down comics back in the old days when it was a lot harder to find them. But I sort of welcomed it. Like even though of course we have like the whole Pinder stuff, I really kind of welcomed it because we ended up getting post reboot, which was a much cleaner version of the continuity, and I always felt that you didn't have to refer to like the Archie Wikipedia for every issue, like some of the older required you to. Because I remember some of the older issues, I was looking at like, what did I just read? And then go find the Wikipedia to find something that I might need to keep up with later.
Mm. Interesting.
So yeah, because I'm pretty sure you were there when it happened, right? Like,
I was on break from the fandom around the time. I started. Oh, it was like the early 100s. But and actually we were talking about this before we started recording, or sorry, started streaming. It was actually kind of hard to find some of the Sonic comics for me. Ironically, the Archie ones were the ones that changed up distribution back in the day, because it used to be, oh, you go to comic book shops to find comics. But Archie Sonic was selling them in grocery stores, which is one of the big things to kind of help get more people, get them more accessible, especially to younger readers who might not want to go to a comic book store. But they never had any near me. I only ever ended up finding some when I was going to the beach at a random convenience store on the Outer
The
Banks.
beach. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, and actually, I think I've driven by that same place, and ever since then, because of that stupid little comic, look where I am now. The butterfly effect, and then that got me. And then once I got on, in a mega collection, checking out the old galleries and stuff, I went and bought some more comics online. Back when it was still super scary to order stuff from online, and my mom thought her credit card got hacked at one point.
Oh
oh,
no.
oh
It,
my
for,
god.
Fortunately, it wasn't. It was just a weird charge. It just kind of flagged as a weird charge, but it was fine.
Oh my.
Wow, Sonic Comics by the Seaside. That's
I
actually
know. Funny how
pretty
life
cool.
works.
I kind of want to like come across something like that. Could you imagine going to like a Barnes and Noble near the coast or something like? I'm sure there's one. I'm sure there's one. Like, you can at least like you can see like a Barnes and Noble, and you at least see like beach. Like, yeah, look, I'm searching it up right now. Look, wow, look at that. There's literally three are wow. Wow.
It just looks like Emerald Coast was just calling your name.
Yeah, I'm just proving my point here. It's like you see, oh, look at Sonic the Hedgehog on the shelf. It's like, yeah, I should go check things out. Yeah. No, that's yeah. Well, uh, I'm taking all of what Ava said. Yeah, I feel as though as like Ian has always spoken about how he wanted there was still a lot left of the original run that he would have wanted to do. But with the clean slate, um, there was enough room to also like, redo some things that he would have wanted to. And, also the addition of characters that weren't originally part of the original run, such as Honey and Breezy. Um, then with that being said, I can now go on over to Boone. How did you take in the Super Genesis wave, or like, how did you take in like, everything shifting in the universe and becoming
Oh,
this new version, essentially?
okay. So just for some extra context, unlike Ava, I wasn't really around for the start. I was just like picking up little bits and pieces off of like, just online sources. But when I got to that part where I found out that it was rebooted, I was definitely very sour about it at first. I will admit.
Mm.
um yeah, I just felt that it was just such, I don't know, it was just really untimely because ever since Ian had taken on the mantle of writing, I just felt that everything was finally like getting pieced together and some loose
Mhm.
threads were like being wrapped up into like a pretty little bow. And things like that. But kind of echoing what Ava and you too, Floof, kind of echoing what you guys said. It was, ultimately for the better because, Ian didn't have to worry about all these extra context and lore and, everything that happened previously. So things are able to be written a lot cleaner, I feel. Um, but it definitely took me a lot of coping at first to realize that.
Yeah,
Mm.
because a lot of us like grew up with some of these characters. Like I've always kind of said like there was something kind of magical with the comics being in some of the early 2000s when the internet was still being adapted, because in a way the world was a lot more, it's like the world of Archie Sonic was a lot more mysterious. Like there's a lot of new
Mhm.
things you might not know about, and having limited information online, kind of you could go and explore some neat ideas or fan theories and stuff. And it just felt like there's a lot more to it now. It kind of feels like the world is a lot smaller, both in terms of the comic, but also just kind of in general in real life as well. That's a little bit more. That's a little bit too philosophical for talking about comic lore today.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Goes to
Ooh.
show that um you have all these different perspectives, yet um
The same
you
thing, yeah.
kind of come to the same conclusion about it.
Mhm.
Like I couldn't, like, in this, like, in like this current state of mind of the fandom and like this current climate with um IDW Sonic, you never know what life could throw at you, and you never know if it's possible that this comic could also be like, you know, change shifted. Like for
Mm.
Archie, like, yeah, it was, I do know, like, we all know exactly why they did this, is that the brand was changing as time went on, and like Sega was wanting to have like some of their products closer to what they were wanting with Sonic at the time.
Mhm.
And in it's kind of still cool that they still kept, like, the characters around, like a lot of like the other characters. And I know I've seen like little subtext and little clues that Ian was trying to like bring back some of the older characters. So like um this is something I knew from Reboot that was like a simply one-off um mention in like the very first issues of um was it, yeah, Countdown to Chaos. That's the first arc of the reboot. um and it was meant to be a nod to the older characters. Yeah, so no, it's not. It's actually from Sonic Universe, my bad. It's that um uh let's see, it's that the egg army under Mordred Hood, um he he had mentioned this group of characters called the Woodland Kingsmen, and apparently those were supposed to be the rebooted Mercy and Freedom Fighters.
Oh.
uh,
Hmm.
However, it was simply just a one-off mention. It was simply a one-off mention during that. And it was it also that same issue? No, but Bo Sparrow was also mentioned in Reboot. Um, so
Mm.
like I knew that like I'm sure there was bound to be something where Ian was wanting to bring like all those other, like, freedom fighter groups back in some way if it were possible. And it's like these little mentions here that like kind of ring true. However, I'm sure we're gonna get the answer to possibly that and a lot of other things in Lost Hedgehog Tales. Which actually, Leah, if I can ask a next question, if that's cool.
Yeah, fine.
Um, so if anyone in the audience is not aware, Ian is currently compiling all of his original ideas that he had spanned for Archie before the reboot and before
Hindering.
Archie um lost the Sonic license in the form of Lost Hedgehog Tales. Um like that's all of his original ideas of what he intended to do with the future stories, and a lot of other like concepts that he didn't get to bring to the table. Um some of them were kind of reworked into Reboot and then also into IDW, but yeah, Ian had a lot uh in his years. And I guess it's like yeah, my question is merely of the fact that I want to ask Ava and Boon, what is something that they would hope to see from Lost Hedgehog Tales? Like, what is something that you guys would have wanted to see in Archie Sonic that um like something that Ian was trying to do with a certain group of characters or a certain character in general, or like a certain plot point that was kind of left unattended, or just something that wasn't brought up. Like, what is a mystery from Archie Sonic that you hope to see what's the word? Um Explained, I guess. Sure, why not? What's a mystery from Archie Sonic that you still want to like know more about?
Hmm. Boone, do you want to go first?
Sure. That's honestly a really difficult, but it's also good. That's definitely a really difficult question because there's just such a vast majority of like lore, as we all know. So there's just so many opportunities. It's hard to pinpoint one exactly, but I guess off the top of my head, I really would have loved to see what Ian Flynn had planned for Antoine, and how he was in a coma nearing the end. I really, really wish I could have, we could have seen how he was eventually going to wrap that up. So prayerfully, he will address that.
Like, what exactly was going to happen to him once Anton came back?
Yeah, exactly. Like, was he gonna recover? Were they just gonna end it there? I mean, prayerfully, he would be recovered, but
Actually, I think he did reveal it. He just
did he?
he
Did
didn't
he?
reveal how, but I think it was intended at first for him to have died,
No.
but there was so much fan lettering saying, you better not kill him, or oh, I'm so upset that they decided to change course. But before they could properly change course, the whole pendering happened.
Oh
Oh.
yeah.
Ah, yes, that is definitely a term that many people will understand.
The
Yeah. Fortunately, yeah, Ian has released a number of things on his podcast, like some details.
bumper cat.
It's just, yeah, it's just the kind of unfortunate. A lot of the details, like more of the bigger ones, are sort of, locked behind legal red tape at this time.
Yeah. Very
It's why
unfortunate.
we're still waiting on Lost Hedgehog Tales, because he's trying his hardest to find someone that'll help him publish it, as far as I remember. As well as, well, yeah, a lot of the stuff that's kind of stuck with other previous writers on Archie Sonic, as well as um um uh could have sworn there was something else, but I can't seem to recall. Oh well. Hmm.
Birds. Let's
Hmm.
see. All right, for me, so my answer is very vague, but really, I just want to see what he had planned in general. So, like, I'm a person who loves to discover, um, canceled or scrapped ideas
Yeah.
in stories and games. So, what's it? Unseen64 is a website I love to go to. The cutting room floor. I browse that site all the time. So I'm really just interested in see what they have planned in general. That said, I was given some notes on a story idea that never got to be worked on, and so I'm working with someone to get it finished. I don't know when I'll get around to finishing it because I'm really busy, but I am really excited to work on restoring this lost story that has not been revealed before. Woo.
I have a very funny
Mm.
feeling I may have a very funny feeling I may know exactly who it is you're working with. Hee 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 hoo hoo ha ha ha.
Hee hoo, funny Smith.
Hmm. But yeah. Um yeah.
Oh,
I actually wanted to comment on I'm commenting on my own question, guys.
please do. Go ahead.
Because like it's not just Ian and such, there was a lot of stuff that was also worked with. There was a lot of stuff that was provided to Archie Sonic from his wife, Aaliyah Baker, and um, I Uh, I was, oh gosh. Yeah, because I had at least read up to it. I haven't like read everything so far, but I know, I know, I know something in particular. Um, um, I'm very interested about what exactly they were trying to go for. Um, with from reboot Archie because artwork's great, guys. This is a great start to this whole
No,
thing.
it's okay. No
You're
worries.
fine.
We all have
I just
moments like
yeah,
that.
I'm bridging off of what Boone was talking about with Antoine. However, I'm more of interested in what was going to happen with him in reboot because of the story they had planned with the character Cortez. And I was very interested to see how they were gonna because in that particular story, from what I've seen in the scrapped contents, they were gonna tie in Black Knight to the greater reboot Archie Sonic lore, and it was gonna be very interesting to see, and also tie in Sonic 4 as well. I saw that and it was like, huh? It was like, oh, Ian was cooking with this one. Uh, and yeah, I'm fairly certain, like I'm fairly certain that was something that was like I correct me if I'm wrong, Ava. Was that that was something that was worked on from Archie Sonic Online, right? Like they helped restore that particular issue. It was for Sonic Universe.
So actually, that was a separate team that we've acquired. So for those who
Oh.
aren't aware, yeah. So for those who aren't aware, so there's Archie Sonic Online that was handling the pre-reboot, and they've
Mhm.
been handling only the pre-reboot for several years now. So another team formed called Archie Sonic Restoration. They wanted to handle the post reboot, and they did. They actually ended up finishing Sonic Universe 95, which is the issue that you're talking about, one of Cortez, the Black Knight, Antoine's history. Um, However, their group sort of went on hiatus because, like a lot of volunteer groups, it's volunteer, so there's only so much time people can offer. Um, People are really busy. However, they actually did have Rick Mac. They were on the team as well. Our penguin friend, who's now at IDW. Um,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, I love Rick. I love Rick so
Yes.
much.
Mhm. Yep. So Rick Mac was part of that team. But yeah, it's just in the end they're too busy. They had some really talented people. A few people actually on their team have come and has joined with the merger. Sorry, running back a bit. Yes. So Archie Sonic Online sort of approached my team, the New Roads team, and the Archie Sonic Restoration crew that's sort of like a big merger. While the New Roads team isn't actually merged, they did work a little bit on some of the pages with some of the people from Archie Sonic was Archie Sonic Restoration joining the ASO group, and that's kind of changing to Restore. And I keep getting the names mixed up because it's basically the same word, just different
Restoration. Restore. Yeah.
just
It's
different
fully
ways
okay.
to
I
say
probably
it.
would have screwed up myself.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So I'm in charge of it, and it's kind of just started as like a side thing because wanted to finish at least Sonic Universe 97, which is the Nicole issue. Because I ended up getting some notes on how the story was supposed to end. Because if you look online, there's like some of the pages have been revealed over the years, but only half for 97. So I got some notes on how it was supposed to end, and we're working on trying to get that going. And then when I was at Sonic Revolution 2023, we had a panel with the Archie Sonic Online crew, and that's when the lead editor asked if we just wanted to we wanted to kind of work with them on something. And at first we weren't quite sure, but then they approached us again, and we decided, sure, why not? So it's sort of like a merging of resources. So some of their artists are helping out. Sonic Boon here, she's been helping a lot. It's been great. Um, and it's been going really good. Why did I start this tangent?
Hey,
You're okay.
hey, I was doing the same thing, just trying to explain what I was
Yep.
going with my question. I don't.
Yep.
You guys are the guests here. You guys can tangent all you want.
Yep.
Mhm.
No, but yeah, so that's kind of how we ended up combining. So I guess answering your other question, no, ASO wasn't working on post reboot, but now they are. And we're hoping to have our first issue out very soon, which will be the mainline issue number 291.
Kind of a, yeah, just kind of a weird, um, yeah, yes, but technically no.
Yes.
But
Um,
hey, look on the bright side. You guys are now an even more stronger powerhouse. You
yes,
know, getting all you guys together and yeah.
yes, indeed.
Um yeah, okay. Yeah, so okay, cool. So we did that. Yeah. Okay, we're good. We are good. Um are there any questions that we should be answering about now?
I saw one, but I'm not sure how it would pertain. I don't think
Uh
it was
Leah, are you
directed
cool?
towards Archie.
Ah, Leah, are you cool with reading that to us?
Oh, yes,
I feel like we've
absolutely.
been talking a little bit more than you were able to, so like, give Leah a chance to talk.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
woo.
here's the question by Ryan Rodriguez. Hello there. I have a question. Sonic's universe. Considering that Caliburn appeared in Frontiers, can Sonic travel to Arabian Nights or World of Camelot if he wants?
In
I'm not sure.
Frontiers, was there a mention to? I don't think there was a mention to.
I don't know. This person wrote that question. I'm just reading what it says in the live stream chat.
Uh,
There was not a. No. There was not a mention to Black Knight in Frontiers. Um, wasn't even in one in Generations, as far as I know. I'm not sure about that one. Was hmm.
it might have been an Easter egg, but I
No.
feel
Oh no! Wait! No, I know what they're talking about. It's it's Caliburn's sword form appears on a costume's Coco in the updates. I think that's what they're
Oh,
talking about.
I
Like,
wouldn't have
like Caliburn makes like a subtle reference through like the Cocos, and it's like a really weird sort of thing. Um, I guess, well, we are called Sonic Lore. However, we are talking about the Archie Sonic comics. But I can throw this one away really quickly. Throw it all away. Never mind. Um, no, that was just a cameo. That doesn't technically mean Caliburn is in Sonic's universe. That doesn't mean much of anything. The real Caliburn is still in the world of Camelot, and no, we don't exactly know how Sonic would be able to well, before we didn't know how Sonic would be able to travel back to the world of the Arabian Nights and the world of Camelot. However, a certain game called Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is about to answer that for us.
Mm.
Hmm. Anyways, moving on. Um, I appreciate the question, but we are discussing Archie Sonic at the moment. But all's good in good time. Don't worry. We will have future Sega Sonic episodes, right, Leah?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. This
the
one
Mm.
we
radar.
wanted to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ava.
So,
Yeah,
but
Ava, what's
radar,
up?
everything's canon.
That
I can feel the
phrase.
hate through the monitor right now.
No.
I am staring at your icon ever so slightly. Aaron
Um,
Weber, I love you, but I hate you.
Okay,
Any
anyway.
anyway. Let's see. Um, I'll go ahead and go with like, I'll go ahead and finally go with like an actual easy question because like I kind of hit you guys hard with the Super Genesis Wave one. And I was just being silly.
Oh,
Um,
you're okay.
so across both pre-reboot and reboot itself, like choose whatever you guys would think is your favorite characters from both pre-reboot and reboot. I would like to know. I have a feeling I know. I have a feeling I know about Ava's and Boon's, but
For the audience.
Let's see. So for post reboot, it's definitely Nicole, one of my favorite characters. If you've seen anytime I open my mouth or type something on Twitter, you could probably guess that. For pre reboot, it has to be by Valve the Oyster. I mean, he's the king. He's the bestest.
um, this this is probably really basic, but Sally. I mean, honestly, all of the freedom fighters, like I can't get enough of them. I know, kind of cliche, but I mean, I can't help it.
Mm.
Can't tell
Mm.
if Radar is still staring at my icon with the by Valve answer.
Oh.
Oh my.
Radar
Mm.
muted.
Oh. Um, but I would say I guess I could ask a question. Like as I said, the only I think Archie that I kind of know a little, of the stories that they were telling for Archie, and I did read the Sonic X Mega Man Archie crossover comic. I would say my question is trying to remember. Um uh oh yeah, oh yeah, tell us about Gold. I'm very curious what's her lore about, like in terms of the Sonic Archie comics.
Ooh, she's an interesting character. It's just unfortunately a lot of the lore for her is just very minimal.
Yeah.
Um, she was set up as like a really neat character, and admittedly, I need to reread that art.
Mm.
So I don't remember all the details, but there really is only so much about her because they sort of she sort of drops off the face of the earth at the end of the arc as long as the other characters, and we never got a follow up, unfortunately. And I don't think we ever got any information from Evan Stanley. I
Mm.
know Evan later released some of the concept art, and actually, Gold started off originally as a sort of futuristic Nicole, which is kind of interesting.
Oh.
But after just so many different redesigns, they just went with their own original character. But admittedly, I need to reread that arc. Boone, you might know more about it than me.
So concerning her lore, I'm just gonna just quickly wrap it up really quick because, like Ava said, it's quite vague and rather minimal. So she's from an alternate reality, or kind of like how Silver's from the future. This was supposed to be a version of Silver's future, I guess. And her home was ravaged by the Great Devourer. Um, it's been a while for me as well, but the Great Devourer was basically some kind of deity. Ava, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because it's also been a bit for me as well.
oh, well, sorry for going mute for a second. I had to switch microphones real quickly just for personal reasons. But I can actually comment on this one because I actually did ask about this to Evan on a live stream she did
Oh,
like some time
Oh.
ago. There's the character you're referring to, Boone, is actually was the second Devourer. Because that character in particular was meant to be an homage to the Time Eater, from what I remember. Because
Oh.
Time Eater, second Devourer.
Mm.
Paint the picture here.
yeah, okay, that makes sense,
Yeah.
especially with the
Um.
whole future reality. I guess that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh, I get it.
yeah.
Okay, that took me.
Oh, wow!
Oh,
I knew something
hmm.
before Ava.
The pun. It's the pun is hurting me right now.
Mm,
Oh
mm.
no.
Yeah, no, it's because like, well, like even in design, like you can still see like a bit of the time meter in the second devourer, like if you pay attention really closely. Um, and um, yeah, I'll also chime in just a little bit before I tinker with my microphone a little bit more, just to make sure it's at tip top shape. Again, sorry about the weird microphone change. Um, yeah, gold is meant to be from Silver's future. Meant to be from that time frame, and um, oh gosh, yeah, no, it's been a while, but I do know is that she was
He was used and abused for sure.
from the Onyx City Council, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were just
and
using her for her powers and
mm,
her
and
abilities.
and in case you guys don't know, despite the fact that it was said that the Sonic Rivals games weren't canon to Archie Sonic reboot specifically, um, Onyx City is meant to be inspired by Onyx Island from Sonic Rivals, which is the future Angel Island. Um,
Mm.
it was a very weird thing. Rivals wasn't considered canon, and I'm assuming that's just because it wasn't released in Japan. It was only ever released in here in the U.S. and Europe. However, that's not the case anymore. As well, Rivals kind of has to happen in order to reintroduce Silver. So after '06. So there's that. Um, but yeah, like some of the games in Archie Sonic, I know that they were kind of omitted just because. Well, I don't know what the reason was, but some of the games were omitted, and some of them were shifted around, changed, and well, as we know, Sonic Unleashed and Sonic the Fighters were adapted into new story beats for Reboot Archie. So how you remember them in the games is not exactly how they go in Archie, obviously. And that actually can go into another question I can ask you guys. Um, wait, were you guys done answering? No, Ava, you didn't get to chime in yet. No, wait, you already did. Wait,
I did. Yeah, I didn't have much to say, unfortunately.
we will talk. We will have to do a reread, and we'll figure out more about Gold. But we do
She has
love.
a really cute design, though, I will say.
And something. And considering Evan's track record on IDW, we have a feeling she paved the way for certain characters of her same species. This is the part where you laugh. Ha ha ha.
Silly, silly,
The Tin
goofy,
Rip.
haha.
I don't think you guys get it.
You're referring to Surge, yeah?
Okay, maybe some of you get it. Um, okay, well, yeah. Now, and I will go ahead and go forth with my question right now, which would be, consider multiple stories have been adapted and changed around to like fit the standards of what was going to happen in the story. So, like, for example, as we know from Reboot Archie, the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 8-bit occur, but it includes the characters from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Scratch, Grounder, Coconuts, and Breezy into that narrative. However, the same plot beats are still the same, is that Eggman did kidnap Tails and Sonic's out to save him. Um, so I wanted to go forth and like talk about like, yeah, what would from pre reboot to reboot, what would you guys say is your favorite adaptations of pre-existing Sonic games in Archie Sonic? Like, I know that um plenty of games during pre-reboot were given like their own um what is it, Sonic Super Specials? Yeah. Like
Not super specials. It was called Other Time, Other Place. So I'm gonna steal Half Life a little bit. With pre-reboot, they had to weave it into the lore, which is why we had such really drastic changes in some points. And eventually, it got to the point where they just had to make them as side stories. So, there's that one with Blaze where it's a quick side story. There's the ones of Riders where it's more of like a C plot at the end of an
Mhm.
issue. And then we see it with which one was it?
Sonic and the Black
Chronicles.
Knight? Oh.
I can't remember if Black Knight has one. I know Chronicles had one. It's like a brief little thing.
Secret Rings had one too. I know that.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
a DVD.
I remember that. Yeah, and so these were like very small little previews. It's only really some of the older original issues that had a proper tie-in. And we actually get a follow-up because the one for Sonic Adventure 1 was very rushed because they were trying to fit so much in, but also it got hijacked by Knuckles. But we do get a yep,
It's Knuckles
we do get
Adventure now.
Knuckles Adventure. We do get a proper follow-up where like was it Beta and Omega have a fight, which is kind of a neat thing to kind of sort of close the door on that whole story at the time. So, but yeah, old stuff is wild.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, still, yeah, going back to the topic of the question is that what would you say is like your favorite, adaptation of a Sonic game within Archie Sonic? Either both pre-reboot or reboot or both.
Sonic
I
Unleashed, hands down.
the entirety of post reboot.
Yeah, that is kind of just like the one people think of. That yeah.
I love the fighters story.
Yes. I love how they tied in Breezy. That was just so cool.
And Honey. We got Honey the
Yes,
cat.
Honey too.
Yes. Yeah, I loved how they managed to tie in fighters and give it like a really neat story. And they changed it up a bit. Like, they're still trying to get the Chaos Emerald and save the world, but they change it up just enough while kind of keeping the same plot, which is our
Mhm.
favorite characters beating the crap out of each other.
In ways that may or may not be lifted from the game itself.
Yep.
Oh man! Well, now I'm just realizing they didn't get to do the funny thing where they take Fang's gun and shoot it back at him. Dang.
Oh.
Oh,
However, in Archie Sonic, it wasn't a pop gun, so I think that was probably for the best.
also, real quick, speaking of my hyper focus on cut content, there's been some neat stuff people have found digging into the disassembled code of the fighters, and they found out that so each of the characters has like a special move that they can do. I mean, like Tails has that flying one. You know, Fang has a bunch of shooting and stuff. Sonic has his spin dash and some others. But Honey had a flirting kiss move that was removed, and someone
Yes,
managed
I
to
do know
restore
about
it.
that.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting, but also kind of funny they cut that out. There was another one, which I probably won't mention on the podcast, that was probably a good thing they cut.
Oh,
There's
you
you can
said you
find
were going to mention.
well, there's the kiss one. There's another one, but I probably shouldn't mention that on the podcast. But it's just interesting to see what they found over the years. Like it's like all this time later, they're still finding new things in the game's files. Just because,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I should know because I've been on a recent clean. I've been on a clean streak lately on finding like the names of badniks that have gone unnamed for a long time. I'm just like, yes, finally, I can give them proper identity. And yeah, it's been real good. It's been real good to me. And hey, whenever a badnik shows up in Archie, I can finally like point out, oh hey, yeah, it's that thing from Knuckles Chaotix, and it's that thing from Sonic Adventure 2.
Ooh, okay. So actually, we just got a good question. If you don't mind. we shift to that?
You're more than welcome to read it. I figured we'd go in succession. So like, Leah reads one, you read one, Boone reads one. I'm good. I'm namesake of the podcast. I'm good.
We're taking over. We're the captains now.
No, wait,
Alright.
hold on.
All right. So so the Silver Age arc and post reboot was left on a cliffhanger. How would you write a continuation to that? Actually, wait, is that the post reboot or is that pre reboot?
Silver Age is Silver Age is reboot. That's the one we were just talking about with Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, How would you guys go about writing an Archie Sonic continuation? Um, we get to we get to see how the mindsets of Ava and Boon clash with each other.
Oh
So,
no.
oh no. So actually, we have talked about the idea a little bit in ASR. We would like to follow up as much as we can on a lot of the cut storyline. Oh, sorry, the lost storylines. I'm gonna kind of cop out a little bit. I'm not sure how I would do it off the top of my head, just because I've been so busy planning out other stories instead with the others. But I would like to see some kind of big arc where they're able to kind of maybe like work with some underground group to like stop the that evil shadow puppet government organization.
Hmm.
Infiltrate it.
Yes.
What about you, Boone? How would you go about that? Like, would you? Because I have some ideas of my own, but like, yeah, it's like because I have seen a bit of Silver Age enough to know like what was going on. So like, I'll keep my thoughts after. But I'm sure you have like, what would you do with Silver?
That's so difficult because the way they end it, they were just like going down the portal, and that's pretty vague. Especially there was just a bunch of portals scattered everywhere throughout the Silver Age arc in general. So honestly, I'm not entirely sure if I have an answer. I'm not much of a writer.
Yeah,
It's
I'm sorry I don't have much because this is an arc that like didn't have much information or much follow up.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of reminds me of Kingdom Hearts a bit, where there's a lot of setup, and we'll get to it later. But until the next piece was there, there's only so much you could really pull from it. And that's sort of how it is for this, where there's a lot of setup, but we needed the follow up, and unfortunately, there was no follow up.
Yes.
I was thinking of two things really. One is that I don't know if they were even able to do it in so okay. So I'm just throwing around some ideas of how I'd approach it. So like obviously like yeah, I would want it to continue like revolving around the future and stuff, and I was thinking back to in pre-reboot, I know it was like what was it? Oh gosh, I know it was like some like
Mammoth.
because it was like it was what is it? Dark Mobius when Silver's fighting
Yes.
Enerjack.
Yeah.
He was Silver was teamed up with future versions of other characters. And I was thinking, oh, like there were a lot of different characters that are still around, alas for some. I was thinking to see if they could have like like hmm hmm I was thinking of like doing like an homage to that arc and such. Um like have like Silver team up with like just like it can even just be like the most generic future versions of the present characters or something like um I'm thinking of it like right now. What is it? You guys know like the children's books? Like what is it? Um Tales of Deception, Tales of Terror, and such like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there was a story of like Sonic meeting his future self, and it just but it turns out that it's just it's just a robot Sonic that Eggman made and such like stuff like that. It'd just be like the most like
future. It would just be like the most future-looking characters, that are at least reminiscent to the original, like to the present characters. I don't know.
Basically, what's it?
Sega mandates. I must abide.
Oh, what's that? It's like that one, the Looney Tunes, uh, futuristic spin-off show. What's that called?
Oh,
Ah,
Lunatics Unleashed. Is that it?
that's it. That's
Yeah,
what you're reminding me of a
like
little
something
bit.
like that. You
Uh,
know, like it'd be something like that where it has like uh Bark, Bean, Rotor, Antoine, Bunny. Stuff like that.
I've
However,
Jeffrey.
hey
Hey, how you
now,
doing?
hey,
You're a rock star. It's a
hey,
gay bond. Go.
mm, mm,
Anyway.
we, mm. Sometimes characters just can't be forgiven enough, you know.
Oh.
Anyway, anyway, but I did want to go off of my other question, my other idea of how to continue it. Um, that's the thing. I feel like Evan talked about this on that same live stream I was attending, but I can't remember. Um, but so obviously in Silver Age, we got introduced to another character from originally from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was Von Schlemmer. And I was thinking, well, and they're being transported and stuff through another portal, and I was thinking, well, what if we introduce another character who has sort of a weird knack for like just like the very much insanity of traveling around in that manner. And I was thinking, ooh, what if reboot Archie Dr. Warpnik?
Mm.
I was thinking it was like have a character who's like so like even kookier than Von Schlemmer and is like just bring more of like the Adventures of Sonic characters and such. Like I was thinking is like, oh, like this other alternate dimension like entity and such. That Silver, Gold, Von Schlemmer, the bits they all have to tackle from they're warping from one place to the other. It's like thinking like, ooh, have Warpnik involved with this.
That is extremely clever.
I had to Google who this was at first because I've not watched all of Adventures, but while Googling it, I found that there's actually quite a bit of fan art of this person. And
Huh,
let me put it in the
that's actually
green room.
surprising.
Someone has made I don't think it's exactly supposed to be a post reboot, but it's the closest to a post reboot-ified version. I think it's also gender bent a little bit, but it's sort of an updated design of Warpnik.
Wouldn't surprise me. Uh,
I put it in the
of
green room.
I see.
That's
Yeah,
actually
no,
really cool.
There's actually quite a lot of fan art of this guy. I am surprised.
yeah, it's meant to be um Robotnik's cousin, and yeah, it's definitely a whole episode that happens. I remember watching it when I was younger. Um, he's like, I oh well, hmm. Now it makes me wonder if he, well, thinking of a character as kooky as Warpnik and stuff. It makes me wonder. I doubt that Ian ever thought of it, but I wonder if he could have approached. What if a reboot Vertical and Horizontal?
Oh no! Why must you
Just
inflict this
imagine.
damage upon me? Why? Oh no!
Mm. Okay. Any other questions, Radar?
No. We can move on to if anyone else has another question or if you have a question, Leah. Sorry. Wow. You're right, Ava. Tangents.
Yay!
Boon, we are
Um,
so sorry.
um, I'm trying to think because, as I said, I never really got into reading Archie, so I was more of a manga person. So, um, I would say probably a question I have is, what was it? I think it was trying to remember which one it was. Okay, oh my gosh.
No worries, no worries.
It's totally
Like,
okay. It's totally okay.
because as I said, I don't really know much about it. I kind of just know that it has some storylines that are um but I think what was interesting, I think from what I've heard, I think Ian did originally was gonna have the metal virus in Archie.
Oh my gosh,
Like
wow, I
like
completely forgot about that. Yeah,
like
that is no,
like
continue on, Leo. That is something we can talk about.
because I think it's very interesting that that was originally supposed to be in the Archie Sonic comics, but then it was actually used for IDW. I don't know. I don't remember why it was scrapped. I don't know. I think maybe they thought it was too dark or something. I don't know the real
Um,
reason.
oh, it's just because of the cancellation, but it was planned for after 300. And
Oh.
actually, a small development, some notes were discovered that detail some of the plans on how that arc would have gone down.
Mhm.
Oh, we're gonna
Yes.
have to save a lot of this for towards the end, in
Yes.
case. Yeah, because I know Ava has something to show, once, well, closer towards the end of the show, so things will be very interesting. But yeah, let's have that be the next topic. It's like, what do we think about the fact that so, um, yeah, the metal virus was originally concepted as a replacement for roboticization. That is what
Mhm.
Ian has said. And
Mhm.
it was meant to be, because like the whole thing with Neo Metal Sonic, that was being built up during when we find out in Fighters. And no, sorta. Sorta built up. I know that Neo Metal Sonic was gonna like have a return, right? In Archie, and then like also moved on to Metal Virus. It would have like still like happened in that order.
Because they're gonna
I
be
think, I don't know, Ava, you know this stuff more than me.
I'm sorry, someone messaged me right as you were. What were you asking?
I was saying is that I'm pretty sure that it was still gonna be like, oh, Neo Metal Sonic has returned,
Hmm.
and then it goes on into Metal Virus, at least for Archie. Like that was
Um,
how it was supposed to go, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think there might have been some buildup, but one of the problems that Ian actually has mentioned is around that time. So right around the cancellation, we had just finished up the big the Worlds Unite um storyline. So well, the post Genesis Wave, storyline, which included a lot of the Unleashed arc that's been going on for several years. So this was a massive arc that was sort of spawned after the post Genesis wave, the whole Mega Man thing, and so they wanted to sort of calm things down a bit. And what Ian has said was around that time, we just had this massive world wrecking event, and then he was told he had to make a tie-in for Forces, and he's not sure how he would have gone from one catastrophic event to
To
another
the next.
catastrophic event in just a few issues. So there might have been some plan up, but I'm not sure we would have seen much actual execution of it, especially since up until like issue, was it 295? It sort of seemed to be shenanigans, and 300 was going to kick off the metal virus. So I'm not sure if we would have actually seen much of the payoff yet for the Neo Metal buildup.
Mm. Interesting.
But that's just a theory, a comic theory.
That
And
should have been
Radar's
the fifth channel. Oh no, wait, that's me.
I-
Yeah, because I found that very intriguing that it was originally supposed to be that storyline was originally supposed to be in Archie, but because of the cancellation of the comics, it was like you could say it was like repurposed for IDW. Um,
Yeah.
Yep, it
y-
was. I think it would have been better if it had been in sorry, if it had been in Archie, because that's one of the complaints I've heard before is the metal virus was sort of a jump the shark sort of story that happened way too soon into the introduction of the world. Because we just had you know the reboots well, the new comics happen, they're introducing characters, and then we have what's essentially like a big heroes arc, with Neo Metal.
Mhm.
And then right after that, now we're having Metal Virus in IDW, which we still don't know much of the world at that point, and now we're having a global event, but we're still sort of being introduced to everybody and all the characters and all the new locations. So if it had been in Archie, a place that we sort of knew a bit better, where we kind of know who the characters are, and while we haven't seen the entire world up until that point, we at least know what the world is because it's heavily implied throughout that the world consists of all these locations in the game. While in IDW, we still don't know what areas are still sort of canon. In hindsight, we do now, but like even Cream's map, which that we see that some is drawn and put into the book, we only really see a few towns and cities, and so there's a
mm,
lot to sort of that needs to be filled in. I think this is also when we still had the Two Worlds debacle, and so we weren't sure what the world was, and then sometime after the Two Worlds is no longer canon, but still, we didn't really know what the world was. So it could have been more impactful if it had been in Archie.
You make an excellent point because kind of piggybacking off of what you said, I also feel that since they introduced the metal virus in IDW so soon is because it set this bar so high. So now any of the content that we're receiving now, it just seems like it won't even ever top that, in my opinion. So I can't help but kind of hear the whispers through the alleyways of the fandom that people are kind of feeling a bit bored. And I feel that, the metal virus being introduced so soon, I feel like that definitely played a big role in that.
Yeah,
mhm,
I do see the argument of one of the problems they were facing was that the zombie genre was kind of dying off, and I think maybe
mhm,
they wanted to do that idea before zombies were sort of no longer the thing. It's just it took so long to execute the idea, and by then, when they actually did it in IDW, it was still kind of late, and it was late to execute the idea, and it was too early to actually do it in the story. So,
mm,
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, we still received a great piece of media through
mm,
IDW. At least, that idea was able to be brought to light. Of course, there's still the flaws to it, but,
mhm.
it's still really great, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yep,
I,
yep.
I think what was interesting, that if they were to hypothetically, if they were to hypothetically do it in Archie, I'm very curious from your guys' perspective, who do you think would be Zombots in that? Like, who would turn into one?
Uh,
Um,
I actually, he's kind of revealed a little bit of it, so I'm a little biased, but we do kind of know like a lot of characters are going to. Like I know Sally was going to be roboticized fairly. Um, some other characters here and there. Ian's talked about it a little bit though. Um, but yeah, I think it would have kind of played out similar to how IDW did it.
mm, gotcha. Yeah, I think what was interesting is that when here's a fun piece of fact that someone picked up that I think when I started reading the Metal Virus arc in IDW, I saw a really cute cameo reference to Miraculous in that, and it's just so ironic, for those who don't know about the Miraculous lore. In that cameo reference, we literally see Adrian and Marinette as anthropomorphic cat and an anthropomorphic ladybug, and I think even though it's just a reference, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of symbolism that I kind of consider because of the Metal Virus arc is pretty much, for those who don't know the show, we have two main protagonists in Miraculous named Marinette, who is Ladybug, and Adrian as Cat Noir. And basically their powers are yin and yang. And their powers are opposite of each other. With Ladybug, it's the power of creation. And with Cat Noir, it's the power of destruction. So hence, you kind of see where I'm getting at, right? You know how the metavirus was a creation by Eggman? It's causing all this destruction. Do you see where I'm correlating at in terms of it? Like, do you see the correlation that I'm kind of saying that even though they're just a reference, they kind of like come off as like some form of symbolism? If you guys are kind of understanding what I'm saying.
What I can get is that you just couldn't help yourself on making this about Miraculous.
No, I had to. It's very symbolic. Like I saw it in a symbolic way, if anyway. It's very symbolic and it's something it like most Sonic fans will not catch on this, but I'm like, that's the way I saw it. In terms of it. Um, but but yeah, the middle virus arc was definitely something I was like, oh, very interesting. This was originally supposed to be for Archie.
Yeah, very
Hmm,
interesting.
hmm.
Um, I'm very curious. Oh yeah, here's a question I actually have that I know I think it was all in the post reboot. Like we see like 25 years later in the Sonic universe that Sonic and Sally are married with kids, but you do wonder, did they ever say what happened to Amy? I'm very curious if they ever gave an answer on that.
Um, I do recall, I do recall when I was younger, when I was reading through a lot of fan letters, because after every issue they would do this thing called sonograms, and they'd take a peek, kind of with what kind of like what IDW does now still.
Mhm.
It would showcase fan letters and artwork and things like that. And I think somebody did ask like, "Oh, where's Amy?" Um, and I think the answer is that they didn't want to include her because it would be kind of awkward. And Amy's known to be this character that, well, at the time she was very into Sonic. I mean, she still is, but it was just very prominent then. So I think that, in order to avoid any confusion of any kind, I think that that may be why they scrapped her.
Mm.
I can also follow up. Ian did actually respond to this as well. Um, and he canonizes that she sort of picked off of the Fleetway comic and is off doing time travel adventures through space.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I probably pulled up a quote somewhere. I have like 50 tabs open. I am sorry.
No worries.
Here we go. Yeah, when asked, he said, adventuring through time via time stones and being awesome.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. That is giving me Final Fantasy 13 2 vibes. Time travel. Like that's giving me that story. I'm like, woohoo, Amy actually being independent and actually like, yeah, yeah, this is giving me Final Fantasy 13 2 story vibes just from hearing it. Um, that's very interesting. because I always found that very quite interesting, where it's like, oh, at least Ian kind of gives his perspective that like, hey, she's actually doing some time travel adventures, like because
Mhm.
it actually makes you wonder if she actually aged, during all that time traveling, because it's like she's probably going to the future and the past, so it's like makes you wonder if she actually is aging slower because she's
Yeah,
like
Amy has had a lot of aging troubles in Archie, so I wouldn't put it past.
because I can just imagine she's like she hasn't aged that much if she did all this time traveling according to what Ian said. So I think it's just an interesting thing that they done. But I would say, like, if it was from my perspective, I think she would have fell in love with like some other guy, to move on or something. That's just me. Because like she's like, "Oh, okay, the guy that I like is actually married. Yeah, I'll go find someone else." Which is the more mature thing to do. But hey, I was like, "Hey, she's doing some time traveling. Maybe she's a lot younger, you know. You know, she probably ages slower than Sonic and Sally, if anything, with all that time traveling that she's doing." Um, but Radar, do you have any other questions? I don't see any questions in the chat, so oh, okay, Radar is muted.
Oh.
Let's see. Do. Can you explain about I think there was like a Sonic Universe issue where I think it had like yeah, it had like Team Rose in it, which was like Amy, Cream, and Blaze, and then it had like Team Dark, and then it had like uh
Yes.
I think Team Hooligan, I think.
Yes.
Um,
This is
can you explain about that?
Treasure
yes,
Team
Treasure.
Tango, right?
Yeah, probably one of the top like top Sonic Universe stories. It's just so good because it kind of got rid of like the craziness and complexity of the current Archie lore and just took what's existing from the games and made a fun adventure. It's
Mm.
so good. It's definitely in my top 3 or top 5 stories for pre-reboot and Archie in general. Um, Gosh, it's so good. I mean, what could I say about it? Sorry, Boone, I didn't mean to take the mic.
No, not at all, not at all. I echo the same sentiments you said. It was really cute. And I just liked all the interactions with all the girls. It was
Yes,
really nice.
yes. I was seeing all the fights and chases, and I have.
Yes.
It's such a fun adventure, and then seeing Vanilla go Mama Bear mode near the end.
Yes, that was really fun. All the
I I also
confusion.
I also got a funny like behind the scenes thing on the story. So, for those who aren't aware, it's a big story of Blaze trying to find some soul emeralds and other characters trying to get it for their own purposes. Team Rose wants to help Blaze. Hooligans want it for money, and Team Dark wants to take it to Gun. And during the fight, it's where we get sort of like the first, like one of the first fights between Team Rose and Team Dark. We see the first little hints of the joke ship of Blaze and Omega, with Omega liking Blaze's capabilities to blow up things.
Yes.
And there's a funny bit where they have Nicole with them in her handheld form, and she gets dropped when Team Rose gets ambushed. And there's a funny little tidbit where throughout the rest of the story, they don't get Nicole back. They forget to pick up Nicole after that fight, and it turns out actually the writers forgot too. Like they had this whole thing going, and by then it's like, wait a minute, where's Nicole? And they're like, oh crap, we forgot Nicole. And so the last panel has a bit where like, wait a minute, where's Nicole? It's like, oh, knew I forgot something, and you see like Nicole's handheld like stuck in a tree with like an angry emoticon face.
Oh, poor Nicole.
Yeah. By then, it was sort of too late for them to go back and fix it. And if anything, it kind of made a funny little, joke there at the end.
Hmm.
Oh. Yeah, like I found like the characters involved in that story was pretty funny because it's like, oh, Team Dark, and then like Team Hooligan and Team Rose without Big, but it's like Blaze kind of takes Big's place.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, you don't ever want to mess with Vanilla. Vanilla has shown that she may be a sweet motherly figure, but once you get her mad, it's like she's like ready to throw hands.
She has raging fury.
You hear the Broly theme kick off in the background.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because I found that story very interesting.
Okay, I think I've tinkered with my microphone long enough.
Hi,
Hmm.
welcome back.
Hi,
Welcome back.
hello. Sorry about that. It's
It's such a great story because like when you put it in the context of where it is in pre-reboot, even by itself, it's just a really good story. But then this was also early into Sonic Universe, which was when Sonic Universe started around when Ian joined. So seeing this really refreshing take that is sort of in a way both separated but still connected to the main story at that time, it's a really big, it's the gasp of fresh air, something different, something new, something fun that isn't this convoluted mess of Knuckles turning green and 50,000 ancestors of echidnas and then the slap.
Hmm.
or the thousands of tales that all come together.
Oh gosh,
Hey,
no.
someone had to mention it, and if it wasn't going to be you, it was going to be me.
I can't believe you done this.
Yeah, I found that one a very interesting, storyline. But but I want to know. I think another question I have is the about that Sonic universe story arc where I think it was like Fiona and the what was it suppression squad were trying to help
Yes.
Scourge break out of the
The
what's that
prison.
yeah, the prison, like, what's that
Oh, uh,
specific, I forgot where it was,
the no
like
zone.
yeah.
Oh, the
Um,
zone cops.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I that's very funny. What is it? I know that this is the thing that's like what is it that um Sonic the Zone Cop, his original creator from pre-reboot, he's like saying, "Hey Sega, if you want him, he's all yours. I'll give him to you for only $2." As like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? Um
Yeah,
but
Sega's not
yeah,
gonna touch it, unfortunately.
Sega wouldn't even buy for a penny. We know that.
No.
But yeah, sorry, yeah, no, the zone the zone jail and zone cops are very interesting. Like obviously there has to be like some sort like as of lately we've had many multiverse enforcement teams pop up and stuff ev- like everyone and their mother would know about the TVA of other multiverses in comic books. And
They look out for the anomalies.
mhm, and yeah, the zone cops definitely exist. Which is like, I guess it's kind of like I'm not opposed to the fact of like not every multiverse has to have one. So like stuff like IDW and just Sega Sonic in general doesn't really have anything like that, despite the fact Sonic goes multiverse hopping even as early as 1993. Not the comics, in the games. I know some things, but Yeah, they are certainly an interesting case. And I do just love any chance Ian has gotten to just give them like, yes, you know, Zonic, uh, Zooj, you know, Zector, just
Mhm.
pop a Z's there into something. Why not?
Zally Zacorn.
Why not? Hey, why not we have the most awesomest continuation of the Zone Cops? Because wouldn't it be funny if they were infiltrated by some other characters who have their names start with Z, specifically 6 of them? Hmm, wouldn't that be stupid? I just think it'd be something. uh, and the silence from Ava speaking volumes.
Sorry, I was having a drink.
You're okay.
Um,
Um,
I'm
uh,
also kind of weird. I'm not always the biggest fan of dimension hopping things, but that's just my personal thing, just because it can kind of make things convoluted, but for my small brain.
Mm.
when yeah. Let's see here. Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense for certain you know with stuff like Blaze, like that makes sense. Like there's actually lore and story building as to why that is. The Chaos Emeralds relationship with the Soul Emeralds, the Jeweled Scepter. You know, ooh,
Mhm.
ooh, I just got hit with a eureka moment. So I guess I can kind of go off onto my um Huh. I guess I can. What is it? My next question? Maybe? Question mark? Probably. Um. So. Um. Everyone knows about Blaze and her dimension. Everyone knows much about her bouts against Ega and Nega, as we know in the Rush games. But I know for a fact that in Archie Sonic, he was only merely mentioned or in a flashback. He never actually appeared in the comic book. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure that was still around. I'm pretty sure that mention was around the time Ian started. And well, we know we know how Ian is about Eggman Nega. We know. Um, but I'm kind of curious if he were to have existed in Archie. Like what do you guys think he would have done? Like because Eggman's pretty much a bad, he's a bad guy, but he's doing it for taking over the world. He wants all the attention of Earth to him. Eggman Nega just wants to destroy the world. He just wants everything to go down in flames, even if it were to take him with him. Like, he is, honestly, he's pretty much just Archie Eggman in the games, if you think about it, just by a really twisted margin. Really twisted margin. Um, if he were a threat in Archie, how worse do you think you guys could have seen him in the comics? How worse could he have been than Eggman?
Mm.
I'm going on off another tangent again. Gosh darn it. This is
No,
for
you're
Ava and
fine.
Boon. How many of you have seen it, huh?
Me?
I think we
Oh.
could have. Oh, sorry. I think we could have probably seen like some very, very intense stories, kind of on par with some of the early IDW stuff, where these are like big, massive that are just everything, and maybe even breaking out of dimensions. I could see like a big thing where he's like subdued like the soul dimension, and then now it's threatening the main Sonic's Worldian dimension, because that's what they called it back then, not Mobius for some reason. Uh, jokes aside, jokes aside, I think it could have been a very wild, um, multi-dimensional story. Kind of remind me a little bit of the Worlds Collide thing, where instead of it being like different franchises, you have like the different dimensions and maybe others are being impacted as well. But you also kind of have to reel it back because we do have a lot of the other dimensions are retconned. Well, I wouldn't say retconned. They are removed from the pre-reboot due to Mammoth Mogul to sort of trim down the character bloat a little bit. But for those that were still left, it's like, not even the zone cops could stop this guy. I'm kind of throwing ideas around, but you get it.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe something similar to like Hedgehog Havoc, the kind of how that was executed in a sense. Obviously not cookie cutter the same, but I'm just saying like, kind of adjacent to that.
Mm. Interesting.
Makes about as much sense. And yeah, no, it's like now I think about it, it's like if you wanted like like Eggman Eggo is like the closest you'd get to like if you wanted like Archie Eggman in official material and stuff. And it's totally up to Sega if they want to bring him back because well, last time we saw him, Silver and Espio left him to die. So
Oh.
It definitely would have
you
been plausible for Archie though, considering how they always brought in like different relatives for these characters. So
And I know, and I'm just trying to avoid a lot of the questions that people have asked on the Bumblecast because, like, well, Ian's already answered himself. Like, he knows more than ever. So it's like, oh, we've already had the Suppression Squad. We've already had them. Oh, what if they were in IDW? We've already had what if Sage was in Archie. We've already had like all of this. It's like, ooh, I've gotta like go like in betweens and stuff. It's like, oh, what has Ian not answered? But I'm pretty sure he's already answered that already. Dang it!
Yeah, I
Darn
have
you, Ian
noticed.
Flynn!
Dang you, Ian Flynn! You ruined everything. He
You and your
burned our
hat knowing smiles.
he burned our water supply. He poisoned our crops. He burned down the schools.
You tried, Ava.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
it is a little I do notice a lot of questions that did come up was, what if blank but blank? And I think the thing is that I think people sometimes just want to see one character or set of characters in a different setting, but I think people don't realize that we sometimes already sort of have that, where it's like, what if the Egg Legion was in IDW? And it's like, well, the thing is that's kind of what Starline is. He's a furry Mobian creature working for the bad guys. Just
Starline, but as of recent, well, I could say it. It's been a month since. It's been a month. No, how long ago was? Oh my gosh, it might have been. No, it was March. It was March. It was like there was another recent character who's now under the control of Eggman in an actually very similar fashion to the Egg Bosses, if you realize it. And I'm not going to say who. Again, I don't want to spoil, but if you've caught up all with IDW, you guys know who I'm talking about.
Five Alf.
Oh wait, no, Ava, you said you haven't. Boone, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Um
Oh my god. Okay. Well. Oh well. At least I have another final question. That I'm saving for later before Ava takes the stage with what they want to show. But who? Okay. I know Leah's probably answered a lot of questions during my asked a lot of questions during my absence. Um. I'm trying to think of like anything else. Actually, no. Wait. I can just go over to the 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 um um.
Are you asking about the live stream chat?
Moving on. I'll just have to find something else. Um. let's see here. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Let's do opposite day here. Um,
Uh-oh.
out of all, just even if so, obviously, lots of characters have shown up in Archie Sonic. Lots of them. Some of them have been torched and pitchforked to death online. So
Oh.
so many times, and some of them for good reason. And I guess like my question would technically be, who is someone from Archie you just wouldn't want to see come back? Like
Tommy
even
Turtle.
even, even
Tommy
like
Turtle.
even if can I finish, please? I'm sure you already have an answer, but like a character that even if you loved them in a story that they were featured in, or even if like you didn't, like it depends on if you like them or not, or it's like whatever. It's like even if they could come back, you just don't really want to see them come back because they either fit better in Archie, or they probably just don't really have much of a place because there's already a character who's filled out their role,
Okay,
So like,
I got two hot
Ava,
takes.
go ahead.
Okay, so characters that I think would be interesting to be fixed up, but I don't think would. Okay, just make sure. Characters that I think could be good if they're brought back and fixed. Correct, Raider?
What? What?
Sorry, just make sure I understood the question. The characters that we think that would be interesting to come back and if they were fixed, but we wouldn't want to see because they're too rooted in Archie.
Yeah, something like that, and then a character you just don't want to see at all.
Okay, so the one I don't want to see at all is Tommy Turtle because everyone hates him.
What do you
Tommy
mean? Bro's
Turtle.
already dead.
So I have two characters I think would be interesting if they were fixed up. Um, Mammoth Mogul is one because he's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting villain where he sort of, I mean, it's only kind of made up a good point. He sort of broke the fourth wall in a way where he realized he's never going to win. Definitely a character that got better once Ian took over, and I think him sort of being this indirect force where he's no longer the one directly on the battlefield. He's the one sowing chaos into the story at the time. I think that was a really interesting take because he wasn't just like another villain of the day. He was someone kind of calculating in the back end and hoping that the chips would fall in his favor, even if they were indirectly. By chips falling, I mean like like someone that he's able to work with. No, no, it's like he's one of the strings that helps bring Sonic down. I think that's an interesting idea that unfortunately we never got much of a follow up on. Though I do like his replacement, which ended up sort of being Breezy spiritually. That is.
Yes.
Yeah. Um. With I. It's just that it really depends. Cause like then, yeah. But then it's like, well, yeah. Well, what is it? Yeah. Cause later in Archie, Mogo would become like he would right. What is it? Train Silver, right?
Mhm.
Help. Help and assist Silver, right? So like, I feel like if the character's already like if a character that exists has already like taken his spot in the present, he still has a place in the future. So
Yeah,
it's like it can at least work. It's just that how you go about it is going to be really tricky. And it's like he's so rooted in Archie. It's like, well,
yeah.
how?
You just yeah, you just really couldn't like transplant him to a different continuity. He's just too rooted in it, especially if it's history. And while his old history is just kind of a mess because that's just how things were back in the days of making this comic, they do try to fix things up a bit. I remember Ian talking about how he was trying to fix them and just found some a very, very obscure mention, and he was able to take that and spin it to like a larger idea. um yeah, you really couldn't move him out of Archie. And kind of a slight tangent, I think it's kind of hilarious that his creator, I forgot who I think it was it not Dan. I think it's like Mike. Like the creator of him was also the creator of like the Destructics, and he tried to market his Mammoth Mogul separately as its own sort of property. And there's this website where like he tried to do like Mammoth like talk about like a Mammoth Mogul comic and stuff and all kinds of
It was
weird things.
Scott Fulop.
That's it, Scott. It
Yeah,
was like some generic name and some kind of interesting last name. And that wasn't
he
Dan.
edited he edited early Archie, but then he began to write on early Archie.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of funny that he tried to do appenders, not to the same degree, but he wanted to like market these characters separately. But it's like you really couldn't do that with these type of characters. They're just too rooted in Archie that
Yeah, precisely.
you just
They're
couldn't
stuck.
really move
They're
them.
stuck to the Sonic name, and
They're stuck
like,
to the
okay,
Sonic cycle.
miniseries could work out, but well, that's really all you can go so far, to be honest. I mean, look what happened to a certain green hedgehog.
Hmm.
Trevor the
God,
Hedgehog.
that was a mess. I found that out like uh as soon as I got into IDWs, like figuring out like whatever happened to these characters like in the older comics. It was like, this guy was a very, very infamous rival in the original comic book series. I'd like to know what happened to
Yeah.
Mm.
Yay, legal suits.
and very controversial involvement. Anywho, we we were hanging out with Ava, as now we should go over to what Boone thinks. Like out of all the characters, so like obviously, so there's a character you'd want to see fixed up to fit in newer material, but honestly you wouldn't want to see because they're better suited for Archie. And then the character you just don't want to see come back at all.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the one that I just don't even want to see ever shine in the face of the earth ever again. Um, um, Jeffrey St. John.
She said it,
This
folks. Congratulations.
I have no, well, there are many reasons, but just specifically to return to IDW or any other um current media. This is just completely stemming from just pure immense dislike for the character. I just don't like him one bit. There's no way he could be fixed. There's just no, just please.
It's like
No.
even when they tried to fix him, he's almost an entirely new character.
Exactly.
Like when
Oh,
he's in like the early days, he's like this really annoying character. He has like three phases. The early days where he's just a jerk and a creep and a weirdo, and then he gets married, but he just kind of goes off and does this thing and never really interacts with anybody. And then there's the whole what do you want to call it, the possession arc near the
his
end.
involvement with Naugus.
Yeah, and I think it was a neat change up, but he's almost an entirely new character at that point. So
He already had dirt on his image, so he was already hard to like. You
yeah,
know?
exactly.
And
Um
considering some original intentions on how he was written,
Let's
yes,
not go there.
it
Let's not go there.
it pretty much just did not look well for him overall, even if Ian tried his best to include him.
Yeah.
Anywho, but no, I don't think anyone, and no one, don't no one will ever blame you for choosing him. No one will. But now there's a
um
character who you'd want to see like fixed up if they could be part of new material, but you think they're just better suited for Archie.
so this may be a little bit of a weird choice. Cuz I don't know if anybody else has thought of it. It may just be me. But Bunny and Antoine.
Ho ho!
I know that's kind of surprising, but I have my reasons cuz obviously, I mean, me and plenty of other people, were all vouching for the freedom fighters to return. But the only thing that I'm kind of iffy on is, you know, I love Bunny and Antoine's relationship, and plenty of other people do too. But that was a strictly Archie thing. Like, they couldn't grab that out of SatAM. So I'm afraid that if they were to ever bring them back along with the rest of the freedom fighters, that would be kind of retconned. And it's just difficult for me personally to, if they were to be brought back and they wouldn't be together, it would just be kind of hard for me to watch. I don't know.
There is one bright side where I forgot which issue it is in IDW, but there is a nod to them where there is a coyote and a bunny couple that are like hiding from some robot or something, and it is supposed to be a nod to the two. So I think that's
Really?
Oh, yes, that's issue 17. Tracy drew that one. I recall this and going back through those old posts, right? It was the one centered on the chaotix in their city during the metal virus, right? Right, Ava?
I think
Like
so.
it's on the rooftops. Sonic is telling people to get down, and it's yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, and yeah, Ian wants to keep that intact. Tracy wants to keep that intact. A lot of people would want to keep it intact and stuff. It's just, and
You just never know. It's so unpredictable of what Sega or whomever may pull. So, I don't know.
some things have kind of come out the leeway, Fang, Bean, and Bark ended up, sticking to being a team once IDW came around when they weren't originally perceived as that, in their game counterparts, which IDW was very closely going off of. They still kept to being a team and, well, kept to being a team up until recently with Superstars, but, you never know what the future is going to hold. I mean, in Tales 2, Sonic and the others talk about them as a group. Honey,
Mhm.
her whole she pretty much never really got much of a character in the games, and well, Ian's in Reboot Archie was all they had, where she, well, not really that, but also pretty much inspired from Candy from fighting Vipers. She was fighting to promote her own brands and stuff.
Fashion line, yeah.
Yeah, and as of the encyclopedia, they pretty much kept that intact as her, canon character.
Base personality.
So you never know with Sega. It's just, yeah, it's kind of just the decider. It's up to them,
No, yeah.
what they'd want to do with Bunny and Antoine. I'm sure if they hear enough people, the two will stick together as Ian had wanted them and such. But
Again,
yeah,
it's just so uncertain. So I'm just, naturally a bit skeptical.
and it's it's not just Bunny and Antoine either. Unfortunately, I have to mention it in front of Ava, but the same can also be said for Nicole. Her
You
HoloLink
monster!
form.
You
I'm
monster! No,
sorry, it's part of the conversation.
I know.
Nicole's HoloLink's form was also only an Archie thing, and if they were to base things off of just SatAM, she'd be stuck to her handheld form again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sort of a legal thing though is that actually Archie has the rights to that design, so they wouldn't be able to use that form of her anyway.
Sigh. Not to mention, even though I've told Boone this in a past VC call, Sega does at least own reboot characters and stuff. There was a whole, someone found documents detailing what happened with Sega, acquiring the acquiring the trademarks to all the characters, and they kind of just never did it with pre-reboot, but then once it was rebooted, they finally did it for reboot. So those characters that were featured in Reboot Archie, Sega has them.
Yep.
It's just there's still a bunch of other legal mumbo jumbo that comes with a lot of the other original creators. God bless all the people who
Have to deal with that.
yeah. I wanted to give a shout out to all the Mina Mongoose fans as well. Bless them, even if future is unlikely. I bless all your hearts. You guys are really like out of like when it comes to fan art of Archie characters, I see her the most surprisingly. So like
I got a little sneak peek here. Kind of getting
oh
to the 2 hour
I
mark.
yeah, we're kind of getting towards that end of the hour, and I think this is this about a good time for Ava to just take center stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Go
So
for it! Yay!
I'm gonna kind of right off of what Radar was saying. So speaking of certain characters, we do have plans to bring back some of the reboot characters in Archie Sonic Restoration. And one of them that we are working on is a Bina Mongoose story. Yay!
That's
She
so cool.
returns in some sort of way.
Yes, we have someone working on some designs. We have a big artist who is a big fan of her working on a sort of post-reboot version. And we have something in the works to kind of get ready for Sonic Universe 100, which would hopefully be a big celebration issue. But yes, so a little sneak peek, exclusive to our little podcast here. So yeah.
Woohoo!
I can't provide any pictures because we're still in the works, but I thought, we've had a lot of people ask us because we get a lot of questions like, oh, is this character going to appear, or is IDW going to appear, or is someone from pre-reboot going to appear, or vice versa? Are we going to like move characters around? We'd like to work with a lot of as Ian puts it, a lot of the toys in the toy box because there's just so many different characters. Um, though I think people kind of forget there's a lot of characters in post reboot too that just did not get the light they need. Notably, the Pronghorn sisters. People talk about them a bunch when it comes to post reboot. A lot of the Egg Legion. But I do think the Pronghorn sisters probably get the most attention. And to go off of that as well, I am working with someone who worked on the original Archie comics, not Ian Flynn, as much as I'd like to though, working with trying to get a story written that was planned for the Pronghorn sisters. Um, that person has sort of spilled a few details before, but that's up to their discretion because it's their story. But I'm hoping that some of the questions and you know the mysterious past of the pronghorns will hopefully be unveiled one day in the future, so we can know what was planned and how things would have gone down. Um, some of the future plans are unfortunately tied up in the legal red tape when it comes to post reboot, but fortunately, the past is not affected by this legal tape, which is why we're able to do this. Granted, this won't be fully official. It's not going to be, Facebook official. It's not going through the same editorial process, but this is at least the intentions of the original creators. So I'm excited to work on this, and I'm hoping you'll probably see this sometime in the future with ASO. It would probably be its own sort of side story rather than following with the chronological order of how we're doing it, but get really excited to be able to show some things that have not been unveiled before to anybody.
Mm,
Hmm.
interesting.
There's a
Interesting.
lot of great things happening over on the Archie Sonic fandom, and I know these two right here. I'm very happy to be blessed by their knowledge, just so I know a little bit more. But I think after this, I think I'm more knowledgeable than I would have thought I was about Archie Sonic. I
Ian
was kind of
caused the
doubting
slap.
myself, but it was like, oh wait, I knew stuff more than these two apparently for like these
Ian
one-off moments, and just
Ian's the reason we don't have season 3 of Set AM. How dare you, Ian?
come on, Ava, don't go there. You know how the Sonic fandom can get.
I know. That's why I'm trying to move into Lackadaisy fandom more.
Don't let those stalactites come crashing down on us now. And
Okay.
anywho, I did want to say that when we do end off, I am just going to give a big shout out to you guys. I will just plug you guys where I know you are. This isn't a threat. This is hashtag wholesome smile.
Oh, some smile. It's okay.
Any final words, Ava, Boon?
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just make sure to check out Archie Sonic online. Great for those who are big fans of pre-reboots. Just keep an eye out for our stuff with Archie Sonic Restoration, for our post-reboot stuff. It's been a while since we had our big announcement back at Sonic Expo last year, but we got a lot planned. We actually just recently brought on our new writers from the auditions, and we're still looking for more artists because we never have enough artists. We need more, but no, we have a good team as it is. But it always helps to have more people because we like to be able to share these stories with y'all, both what was originally planned as well as trying to expand upon it with our own original stuff as well. And also, check out New Roads if you haven't. It's my own little IDW centric comic about good old the shy Owu and the hyperactive lemur. It's the reason I kind of got. It's kind of why I'm involved in a lot of groups these days. That comic kind of springboarded me quite a bit.
Oh.
I can and I can say without being biased towards anything is that there's a lot of great nods in the comic, and there's a really nice IDW inspired story of trying to take past characters and putting them into a new setting, and I think it really works.
And it's
And,
just
and it's
beautifully illustrated.
and it
Thank
still
you.
keeps a lot of those story beats as well that your guys may be familiar with. Um,
Also, we kidnapped Radar OC.
Yeah, that is also something. I didn't want to mention it because I would have been sounding like I was bragging or whatever. But
Yep.
yeah, I made a deal with Ava a while ago, and this is the result. And I still haven't left. I thought I'd be just a one-off cameo, but I had a speaking role, so you know what? Anything's bound to happen to me now.
Yep. And for context, in New Roads, since no one has to worry about the ownership rules with IDW, I have a lot of cameos of friends and just people I really like. And there's a certain green cat that is involved with the comic as well. It's really cool to get permission to use Michael's cat OC, the Mountain Dew cat. Um,
Covey, little Covey cat, yeah.
yes.
Yeah. For context, just to know, you guys know that funny rabbit from that one online circus show, or perhaps, um, a Play-Doh toy from that one haunted toy horror game, or maybe even, let's see here. He's also a Sonic fan, and he's a. If you know who I'm talking about, he's shown up in some things with Ava.
Funny story about that. That was not even intended. So
Ah,
when it comes to some of these, my writing is actually very unconventional. So while we like, if you work with like the ASR groups and ASO groups, you'll see like there's like proper formatting for the scripts. I just write everything in Notepad, or rather Notepad plus plus. So I like how it formats stuff and also formats SQL code. But yeah, so when it comes to some of these, unless there's like a very specific thing I need, some of the background characters are actually open to the artist's interpretation. And in that scene in particular, I just wanted like random person. So she put a rabbit in there, and Megu later picks up and colors it. And Megu had no instructions, and so Megu was the one who colored that rabbit purple. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. And then she just gives me this smuggest look. Well, expresses a really smug reaction when I pointed it out, and we had a good laugh about that. So yeah,
awesome.
Jack Lackadaisy is now canon to New Roads.
Good lord. That's great.
Alright, alright,
And then
alright,
yeah,
alright.
that's that. Yeah. So like Ava said, you can find Ava over at Archie Sonic Online, where they're doing all their projects. You'll find them for Tango and Whisper New Roads. You'll find them over at IDW Sonic Fan Annual. We are working hard to getting year 3 out. Ain't that right?
Yes, we need to work on that more this month.
We have it has been a while, but we haven't forgotten. Yeah, I'll be able to hop on my job a little bit more. I've only done a few things, but I can't wait for the rush. And then now it's Boone's turn to plug her stuff.
Yeah, go check out Archie Sonic Online and Archie Sonic Restored. Big shout out to Sonic Revolution as well. I'm a voice actress for them, and we do panels, and it's really fun. And there's a lot of panels that are scheduled, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Go check them out. I don't have any particular platforms, but I'm just involved in a lot of stuff. So if you look at something, I might be there. And thank you all for coming.
She's online, but not that online. But if you're lucky to find her on Discord, do interact with her nicely. She is a. Oh, I do wonder sometimes how I'm even blessed to know her.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And I'll put another plug actually. Um, Blue Streaks
Oh
speeds
yes,
by.
Blue Streak. Sonic that shop. Yes, go check out Sonic Blue Streak. I'm a part of that too. Yeah, and the fan annual.
Yeah.
Also, thank
And
you,
then
Leah, for having me on board.
thanks, Leah, for letting me have these two around. Like these two have kind of changed my life more than once, and it's just it's nice having like familiar faces along for these sort of things. So yeah, thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Leah.
Oh,
Thank
okay, this is
you.
gonna be a long outro because since it's still Serenity Spring Festival, I was waiting for you guys to stop talking.
Hey,
So
hey,
it's
hey, hey!
still
We were just being very wholesome and heartful. But this is your channel. You do whatever. Go right ahead.
okay. So to end this, it's still Serenity Spring Festival. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this, even though it was like a lot of rants, but that's the whole point of these podcasts. But tomorrow at 5 p.m. PT at 8 p.m. ET is another stream, which is Guess Everything Sonic through Emojis, which is a game, which this is going to be testing your guys' knowledge of the Sonic franchise as a whole, as I will be showing sets of emojis that will be ranging from various Sonic media. So it is not just limited to the games. It could be from the comics, it can be from the cartoons, it could be from the movies. So anything is fair and game for this. And
Is that
then
the Flames of Disaster?
um but but on this Sunday, April 20th at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET is day 8 of the live streams for Serenity Spring Festival and is the next episode of Goddess Spotlight with Leah Serenity Rose. And it's episode 34 and I will be doing a Q&A with Emsberry. So if you guys know Emsberry, she is a popular Sonic VTuber. So I will be doing a Q&A with her about her and her content. And then week 4 is mostly confirmed, 90% confirmed. But here are the upcoming Twitter spaces and live stream. On April 21st at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET on my Twitter, I will be hosting a Sylvaise chat Twitter space where we are just going to be discussing about the Sylvaise ship
Oh boy.
and what we love about their dynamic and why the ship is so loved by the Sonic fans. And then a very special Twitter space on April 22 at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET is Voices of Sonic Revolution Twitter space. If you've always wanted to ask questions to the Rebel VAs, them and their voice work or content, here's your chance. And come and tune in to ask the Rebel VAs questions. And the Rebel VAs that will be there is Glitch Kitten, Doom the Mean Queen, Heavenly Angie, Infectious Pink, Nays, Andrew HVA, Josh Hodgson, MC Voices, Whispering BA, Chris BA, Jason King, Ava and Boon 88, and Diet Dr. Kelp. So very much stacked of Rebel BAs if you want to tune in for that Twitter space. And then on April 25th at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET is a Sonic Symphony chat Twitter space. So if you've been to the Sonic Symphony concert and want to chat about your experiences with me, I'm going to be hosting that Twitter space. Then on Saturday, April 26th at 2 p.m. PT, 5 p.m. ET is another live stream, which is yeah, and it's the Starlight Winter Carnival behind the scenes. So I am joined by Team Starlight. So Team Starlight returns to for another stream, and they're just going to be I'm going to be asking them questions of how they planned their Starlight Winter Carnival that happened last year. So if you are interested and want to ask them questions about behind the scenes of how they planned that entire carnival, please come tune in. Then on April 27th on Sunday at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET is a Kingdom Hearts chat Twitter space. If you are a Kingdom Hearts fan, please come tune in and chat about what you love about the Kingdom Hearts series and its very convoluted story. But yeah, I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan as well. So if you want to tune in for that. And of course, I actually have a confirmed Twitter space right after Serenity Spring Festival has ended. It's going to be a Sonic voice actors Twitter space where we will just be discussing about any of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise official voice actors. So if you want to talk about like specific any Sonic voice actors this is the official ones, not the ones who voice in fan comic dubs or anything. So just keep that in mind. But that will be at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and turn on that bell notifications for upcoming live streams and video content on my YouTube channel. And enjoy Serenity Spring Festival. It's still going on. We're on week 3, still going strong. I appreciate you guys coming, tuning in to my Twitter spaces to engage and and talk about things that are not Sonic. So that's what the Spring Festival is all about. Just doing multiple fandoms and in a spring festival. And yeah. And thank you all for tuning in, and may you all have a wonderful night. Bye everyone.
Thanks for coming. See you next time.